everyone. I am Christia Gwyneth Franche, and at this moment, I will be talking to you about the topics of EdVe 7. So, for now, we are going to start with the career developmental theories. Overview of career development theories. Career development is a continuous, lifelong process of developmental experiences that focuses on seeking, obtaining, and processing information about self, occupational and educational alternatives, lifestyles, and role options. Why study theory? Theories and research describing career behavior provide the conceptual glue for as well as describe where, when, and for what purpose career counseling, career education, career guidance, and other interventions should be implemented. The process of career development theory comes from four disciplines. First, we have here is the differential psychology. This is where we interested in work and occupations. Second is personality, where we view individuals as an organizer of their own experiences, and sociology, which focuses on occupational mobility. And fourth is the developmental psychology, which is concerned with the life course. An image, a description, a representation of reality. It is not reality itself. It is a way we can think about some part of the reality so that we can comprehend it. Career development theories for the past 75 years fall into four categories. First is the trait factor, matching personal traits to occupations by Frank Parsons in 1920s. And second is the psychological, which is personality types matching work environment by Holland in 1980s. And third is the decision. This is where situational or sociological by Bandura during the 1970s. And fourth is the developmental self-concept over lifespan super 1950s. Now we move on to Holland's theory of vocational types. This approach gives explicit attention to behavioral style of personality types as the major influence in career choice development. This is described as structurally interactive. First, we have the realistic. This is where we work with hands, machines, tools, active, practical, and adventures. Second, we have artistic. We deal with literary, musical, artistic activities, emotional, creative, and open. Third, we have the investigative. We deal with thoughts, analytical approaches, explore knowledge, ideas, and not social. Fourth, we have the social. We train, inform, educate, help, supportive, avoid technical skills, and empathy and relationships. Fifth, we have the enterprising, verbally skilled, persuasive, direct, leader, and dominant. And lastly, we have the conventional, rules and routines, provide order or direct structure, great self-control, respect power and status, punctual, and orderly. Now for the advantages of Holland types for school counseling. It's one of its advantages is types are intuitively appealing and easily shared with students. It helps students get oriented to the worlds of work that isn't overwhelming. It also provides helpful way of understanding varied work environments. But for its disadvantage, the theory doesn't provide insights into how one develops a type or guidance for working with students. We are now in Bandura's social cognitive theory. This concept of self-efficacy is the focal point of Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory. By means of the self system, individuals exercise control over their thoughts, feelings, and actions. Among the beliefs with which an individual evaluates the control over his or her actions and environment, self efficacy beliefs are the most influential predictor of human behavior. Self-efficacy is the belief in one's capabilities to organize and execute the courses of action required to produce given attainments. It is constructed on the basis of first, personal performance, accomplishments, previous successes or failures. Second is vicarious experience, watching others, modeling, or mentoring. Third is verbal persuasion, verbal encouragement or discouragement. And fourth is psychological and emotional factors or perceptions of stress reactions in the body. How self efficacy affects human function. First, choices regarding behavior. People will be more inclined to take on a task if they believe they can succeed. People generally avoid tasks where their self efficacy is low, but engage when it's high. Second is motivation. People with higher self efficacy in a task are more likely to expend more effort and persist longer than with low efficacy. Third is thought pattern and responses. Low self efficacy can lead people uh, to believe that tasks are harder than they actually are. This leads to poor planning and stress. Fourth is the destiny idea. This is where Bandura successfully showed that people with differing self efficacy perceive the world in fundamentally different ways. So, what is efficacy expectation? It refers to the person's estimate that a given behavior will lead to particular outcomes. And what is outcome expectation on the other hand? It is an estimate that one can successfully execute the behavior required to produce the outcomes sought. Next is Super's developmental self-concept theory. Vocational development is the process of developing and implementing a self-concept. As the self-concept becomes more realistic and stable, so does vocational choice and behavior. People choose occupations that permit them to express their self concepts. Work satisfaction is related to the degree that they've been able to implement their self concepts. Next is we have the career maturity. This is a similarity between one's actual vocational behavior and what is expected for that stage of development. Career maturity includes readiness to cope with the developmental tasks at a given stage. It is both effective and cognitive. So here is a chart that will show us from birth to mid-teens. Major developmental tasks are to develop a self-concept and to move from play to work orientation. During 4 to 10 years old, they still have fantasy, which needs to dominate career fantasies and little reality orientation. In 11 to 12 years old, we have the interest. They learn to identify likes, dislikes as basis for career choices. And in 13 to 14 years old, they have the capacity. They are more reality incorporated. They can relate own skills to specific requirements of jobs. Now we move on to the exploration, which is mid-teens through early 20s. Here, major tasks are to develop a realistic self-concept and implement a vocational preference through role tryouts and exploration. There is a gradual narrowing of choices leading to implementation of preference. So from 15 to 17 years old, they are still tentative. They make tentative choices incorporating needs, interests, abilities. They are tried out in fantasy. And next is 18 to 21 years old. They are here there is a crystallization of preference. Uh, General preference is converted into specific choice. Reality dominates as one enters the job market or training after high school. And next is the specifying a vocational preference. Here, trial or little commitment. First job is tried out as life's work, but the implemented choice is provisional. Now we have the mid 20s through mid 40s. This is called the establishment. Here, major tasks are to find secure niche in one's field and advance within it. From 25 to 30 years old, this is the trial and stabilization. This is where the process of settling down occurs. If unsatisfactory, may make one to two more changes before the right job is found. And in 30 to 40 years old, it is called the advancement. Efforts directed at securing one's position, acquiring seniority, developing skills, demonstrating superior performance, and resume building actions. Next, we have the maintenance. This is from 40s through early 60s. Here, major task is to preserve one's gains and develop non-occupational roles for things one always wanted to do. Little new ground is broken. One continues established work patterns, and sometimes one faces competition from younger workers. Also, an example here is when a retired local government employee once always wanted to be a catechist. So when you are a catechist, it is not a job that pays. It is a giving back to your Christian community. So when you reach the maintenance level, well, you might be interested in being a catechist. You apply into being a catechist after you retire in your job. And next, we also have the disengagement or decline. This is late 60s through retirement. Here, tasks are deceleration of the career, gradual disagreement from world of work and retirement. One is challenged to find other sources of satisfaction, may shift to part-time to suit declining capacities. We are now done with the first topic, so now we move on to our second topic, which is career readiness. Career readiness is a foundation from which to demonstrate requisite core competencies that broadly prepare the college educated for success in the workplace and lifelong career management. Career readiness is the foundation upon which a successful career is launched. We have five core values to indicate when we are establishing career readiness. First, we have the integrity, which means job honesty, action cautious, and preparedness. Next, we have the sense of hope for students. We should be hopeful, considerate, but minimal lang ang consideration, and then explore. Next, we have the sense of urgency. We have to be immediate, we have to be active. And next, we have the conscious self learning. We have to be open to learning. It doesn't mean that we are teachers already, we know everything. We still have to be open to continue learning. And we also have to be accountable or accountability. And lastly, we have the mutual respect and responsibility. It doesn't mean that we are teachers, we are not going to respect our colleagues or our students. We have to be respectful and accountable. Next, we have the teacher's value and ethical principles. First, we have the dignity. We should have respect for humanity. Teachers must respect every person, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, gender diversity, appearance, age, religion, social standing, origin, opinions, abilities, and achievements. Next, we have truthfulness, steering learners in navigating life and their environment. Honesty with oneself and others and mutual respect is all communication is a basic aspect of teachers' work. Third, we have the fairness, promoting equality and non-discrimination and avoiding favoritism. And lastly, responsibility and freedom. Teachers are entitled to their own values, but in their work, teachers' responsibility is tied to their basic task and its standards such as legislation and the curriculum. Teachers and relationship with work. Teachers commit to the standards and ethics of their work. Teachers manage their duties responsibly. Teachers develop their work and expertise and assess their own actions. Teachers teach a manner that reflects with their personality. So, developing and caring for their individuality is their right and obligation. Teachers are entitled to be treated fairly in their work and not being looked down by other people because teaching is something that needs passion and not just it's not just a job, it's a passion. It should be passion. Next, we go to teachers and learners. Teachers accept and treat learners as unique human beings. Teachers respect the rights of learners and react to them humanely and fairly. Because, yes, I've said earlier that it doesn't mean that you are or we are a teacher already. We should not respect our students. When you are a teacher, you have to respect other people's idea, your colleagues and your students, and not look at yourself as someone who is above them. And next, teachers try to understand the learner's starting point, thoughts, and opinions. Teachers considerately handle matters linked to the learner's personality and privacy. Teachers pay special attention to learners who require care and protection and do not, under any circumstances, tolerate bullying or abuse of other people. Of course, this should be a something that a teacher should focus on. And next, we have teachers' work also includes learn teaching learners to cooperate and to become good members of society. Building up confidence and good relationship is part of teachers' work. Of course, because this is our main goal as teachers to help uh, as what I have written in my career development plan, my goal is to, or my vision is to create knowledgeable learners who grows with their communities or their societies. Next, we have the teachers and the work community. Teachers value their work and respect their colleagues. Teachers try to pool resources and find a balance between their autonomy and the work community. And accepting the individuality of colleagues, understanding them, and helping and supporting each other are key principles of the work community. Now we have the teachers and the society. Teaching is one of the most important jobs in society. Teachers' ability to be effective in their work and take care of their professional development are dependent not only on their commitment but also on the resources allocated to teaching and education. Teachers promote the opportunities offered by the education and growth. Teachers represent above all learners' rights and interests, even critically if necessary. In their work, they also teach learners to become responsible members of a democratic society. Now we have teachers and plurality. Teachers need to ensure that all learners have the same rights and obligations as members of society because we are all equal. They make sure that learners and their parents, cultures, and worldviews are respected equally and no one is discriminated against based on them. Now that we are done with our career readiness, our module 2, we are going to proceed with our next topic, exploring careers. Now we first have the guidelines on recruitment, evaluation, selection, and appointment of teachers in public schools. We have the guiding policies on hiring teachers. First is collective responsibility of whole division, administrative responsibility of the superintendent, open and convenient access to applicants rather, strict evaluation and selection to determine qualified applicant, recommendation only to qualified applicants who are bona fide residents of barangays where schools with vaccines are located. Vacancies are located, sorry. Sixth, recommendation only to qualified applicants who are bona fide residents of municipalities where schools with unfilled vacancies are located. Seventh, appointment of qualified applicants recommended by the school selection committee. And eighth, monitoring of division practice by the regional office. We have three committees for evaluation. First, we have the school selection committee, the division subcommittee, and the division selection committee. For the final evaluation criteria, we have education, 35 points, LET or BET rating, 15 points, teaching experience, 10 points, interview to include practical examination or demo teaching, specialized training, basic ICT skills, 20 points, and lastly, written examination, 20 points. We also have here, it's like a guide how to apply. So you start with the first one, where applicants shall submit to only one elementary or secondary high school head a written application. And next, if you have complete requirements, you can proceed. And if not, you have to return to applicant to complete requirements. And if you are done already, you continue to the division subcommittee to undertake preliminary, evaluation. And then next, you go to the division subcommittee to come up with list of qualified applicants and forward it to the division selection committee. And next, you go to the division selection committee. They will conduct written test and interview and determine the 60 points cutoff score. And next, the division selection committee, they will prepare separate rank list of elementary and secondary levels. Next, you go to the registry of qualified applicants to be submitted to the school division superintendent for review and approval. And then you go to the registry of qualified applicants for elementary and secondary levels to be posted in at least three conspicuous places in the district and division office. Uh, Levels to be posted in at least three conspicuous places in the district and division office. Next is the school selection committee will recommend to the SDS the qualified candidate from the registry, taking into consideration the location law. And then the rank of applicants in the registry shall be considered when two or more qualified candidates are bona fide residents of the locality where the school is located. And next, the SDS will appoint the applicant. And then the applicant reports to the school where he or she is appointed. And the end, you will have your work. So that is how you apply for the job. Go to the Pre-Service Teachers Congress 2021. So, the Bureau of Human Resource and Organizational Development, or BHROD, is responsible for the review and development of policies and guidelines in the RSP system and the provision of technical assistance to various queries and concerns on DepEd's existing policies and recruitment, selection, and placement, including the newly initiated system of career progression for teachers. Have here the legal basis, and we can just run through this. We have six, the RA 4670 and RA 8190, which is Magna Carta for Public School Teachers and Localization Law. Next is the ORAO HRA, or the CSC, Omnibus Rules of Appointments and Other Human Resource Actions, and IJAOHRA. Third, we have the DO, or the DepEd Order 29, Series of 2002, DepEd Merit Selection Plan, or MSP, and so on. We have also the DBM, or DBM PCP Manual, and DepEd Qualification Standards, and the DepEd Order 65 Series of 2007. Now we move on to the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, or PPST. PPST is a public statement of professional accountability. It has four career stages: the beginning proficient, high proficient, and distinguished. And it has seven domains, 37 strands, and 37 indicators for each career stage. We have the four career stages of the PPST. First, we have the beginning or the career stage 1. Teachers who have gained the qualifications recognized for entry into the teaching profession and need support for more experienced colleagues. Next, we have the proficient or the career stage 2. Teachers who independently apply teaching principles and strategies, skills vital to the teaching and learning process. Third, we have the highly efficient or the career stage 3. Teachers who consistently display a high level of performance on their teaching practice, mentor colleagues, and and work collegially with other staff. Next is stage 4, the distinguished or the career stage 4. Teachers who embody the highest standards for teaching grounded in the global best practice and lead colleagues in promoting quality teaching and learning. Now we have the teaching induction program or the TIP. Brief history of the teaching induction program. The Teacher Education Council or TEC, created by virtue of Republic Act 7784, is mandated to strengthen teacher education in the country. Features of the enhanced TIP policy. So these are the features of the enhanced TIP policy. It is more compassing. It is more encompassing profile of newly hired teachers. It has a new framework with ecosystem, delivery, and curriculum components, and it is revised course book with the LDM mainstreaming, and it has increased roles and provisions for the capacity building of coaches and mentors. It also has an improved implementation plan or self-paced course books in school mentoring, LACs, differentiated supervision, and classroom observations. Lastly is the certificates of completion given to both newly hired teachers and mentors after completing the 3-year program. Next is the Pre-Service Teachers Congress learnings and key takeaways. So, for knowledge, we have the presented with opportunities to learn from experts in the academic field through series of seminars, talks, and reviews involved in varied programs to have a thorough grasp on field of specialization. For skills, the help of exceptionally equipped professors, various programs and activities being implemented by the school provides an excellent foundation to become the best teachers in the future. And for values, it instills values for a holistic development, not fostering only on the academic and skilled related areas, but on character and professionalism as well. Now we move on to the support system for teachers. For its support system, we have the following. First, we have CHED. They ensures the quality of graduates from teacher education institutes. And for PRC, they administers, implements, and enforces the regulatory laws and policies with respect to the regulation and licensing of the various professions and occupations. For TEC or Tech, They formulate policies and standards that strengthen and improve the system of teacher education in all existing public and private schools. For DepEd, they ensure comprehensive implementation of the K to 12 curriculum, improved professional standards, and that teachers hired are able to substantially contribute to the development of the lifelong learners. Now we move on here in the high level forum. Refreshing our curriculum for the future, nurture self directed and intrinsically motivated learners who are equipped with the values and skills to navigate and thrive in a digital and increasingly complex world. By ensuring digital inclusion, we have the digital hardware, the digital software, and the digital literacy, which are all very important, especially now in our new normal. In our national digital literacy program, we should have the access to hardware, which will be help the students be equipped with personal learning devices, and next, access to quality online resources, Singapore students learning space, and lastly, access to digital literacy, students to be helping students to be responsible and discern and become effective users. Blended learning as a regular feature of school experience. For regular scheduling of home based learning for schools, asynchronous learning to develop self directedness and self management, time to set aside for student initiated learning to explore interests outside the curriculum, and frequency of home based learning based on schooling level. Example, once a fortnight for secondary schools. Next is the artificial intelligence or AI in education. So we have to harness AI to enhance teaching and learning. Well, in Singapore Student Learning Space or SLS, they should be enhanced. A national learning platform with AI capabilities to diagnose students' learning needs and personalizes learning pathways for students. Enhanced learning analytics capabilities to analyze students' learning and make students' progress more visible. Also, harness technology for learner centered assessment like e-formative assessment, e-school based assessment, and national e-examinations. Now we move on to enhancing teachers' competencies. Enhance professional development roadmap from pre-service to in-service, service teachers to implement curriculum and policy shifts under Learn for Life, and nurture future-ready learners by strengthening classroom practices, and lastly, support a lifelong learning for teachers. Now we have the six prioritized areas of practices: assessment literacy, inquiry based learning, differentiated instruction, support for students with SEN, e pedagogy, and character and citizenship education. What are the strategies on ICT in education? First is the infrastructure connectivity and equipment. Second, the ICT support for teaching and learning. Third, the human resource development in ICT. And fourth is the ICT governance and management. And fifth is the finance for ICT in education. So, how do teachers plan for progress in learning? Teachers are part of a coherent sequence that progressively develops learning. Learning objectives and expected outcomes are well defined. Second, how do teachers structure and use time in lessons? Teachers use a variety of short, interactive starters that engage all students immediately. And main parts of lessons are episodic and use time effectively. Third is how do teachers organize and group students? Teachers use flexible approaches to organize and group students based on learning objectives and tasks and student needs. And fourth, how do teachers use textbooks and other resources? Teachers design and sew a rich variety of stimulus materials, learning tasks, and resources, including ICT, that complement the textbook. Five models of educational provision during the pandemic. First is on site, teaching and learning in schools. Second, on air, distance learning via TV or broadcasting. Third, online, interactive distance learning via internet. And fourth, on demand, learning via electronic media. And fifth, on hand, educational provision by delivering learning materials to students' home. We have here the issued policies in response to COVID-19 pandemic. First is the financial support, flexibility in using school operational assistance to cater school needs during the pandemic as stipulated in Minister Regulation number 19 and 2020 year 2020. Internet quota distributes internet data quota assistance to over 38.1 million recipients, comprised of students, teachers, and electors for electors to support distance learning. And lastly, preparing for transition, issued a limited face-to-face learning guide. We have here the ICT support challenges. Specific ICT policy or master development plan in education is not yet exist. Teachers generally lack of awareness and competency on ICT pedagogy integration, and English policy, competency is limited to access learning digital learning resources, and a systematic in-service ICT training program available in Lao PDR is absent. Field trainings and ICT capacity building are provided to in-service teachers, especially for those teaching in remote areas. Not all teachers and students would have access to infrastructure, ICT tools, and internet connectivity. Here are some issues and challenges. For students, access to device and the internet, relevant information skills, readiness towards self-directed learning. And for teachers, competencies to implement online teaching, integrating teaching learning materials and technology, using relevant teaching learning methods, and for technology, rapid technological change, sustainability in terms of age of students with special needs, and suitability in terms of different types of educational resources. We have here ensuring education learning continuity for Filipino children. We have here the modular or the print and digital, online distance learning, educational TV, radio based instruction, homeschooling, and blended learning. So that is the end for our third topic. Now we are going to proceed with our next topic, the strategies for success. By the way, this first for the strategy for success is how to make an email employment inquiry. Your first contact to an employer. So you have to email your employer only when an employee specifically invites or instructs you to do so. And how do you send it? Or email etiquette. Your email, alias, your subject line, and your content all have to be clear and appear to be to your recipient, because it will be they will not know who you are, how to respond, and so on. For your subject line, you have to be clear and meaningful to the recipient, as in application for manufacturing position 84G11, or follow up to our meeting of February 21 at Career Point Job Fair. So that is how those are just examples of how you should do a subject line. And next is for the final cautions and considerations. Your email is a form of written communication, and it creates a written record. Your email doesn't reveal your tone of voice. Choose your words carefully. And then lastly, don't forget to use the spell check feature to avoid misspelled words. So how do we understand a resume? So first we have to know the purpose of a resume. It is a marketing tool to sell your experience and qualifications to a potential employer. And there are sections of a resume. First is the contact information. You put there your name, address, phone number, and professional email address. For education, you list your institutions you attended and type of education you received, along with dates attended and city and state where attended in reverse chronological order. As for your experience, list the employer, city, and state where you work, dates of employment, position held, responsibilities on the job, accomplishments made, and skills developed or utilized in reverse chronological order. For your activities, list activities you are involved in with dates, name of program, or organization you participated on. For your achievements, any awards or recognitions received with dates, name of institution that honored you, and title of honor. And lastly, references: name, company, address, and phone number of three individuals that are not relatives and know your abilities and speak highly of you. So here are tips for resume writing. First, you have to limit the resume to 1 or 2 pages. Be consistent. Avoid using slang words. Use simple words that say what you want to say. Use action words. Show accomplishments and problem-solving skills, not just duties. And be honest. Make it perfect. State information in a positive way. Do not include personal information such as date of birth, height, weight, and etc. Include a cover letter when sending the resume. Balance your resume on the page. Include volunteer work, hobbies, and awards if they show experience or skills. Use action words ending with ed for past jobs. Use action words ending with ing for present jobs. And choose a high quality 8 1/2 by 11 in white or ivory paper. Next, we have here the 20 tips to help you make a great impression. First, have a positive attitude, dress professionally, show your team spirit, learn your coworker's name, ask questions, take notes, be a self-starter, Take initiative to ask for more work. Learn everything about your new employer, even things that don't have to do with your position. Work full days, come in early, stay a little longer, and then avoid office politics and gossips because that will ruin your image, and that is not very ethical. And then 11, keep personal business on company time to a minimum. Take advantage of after hours activities, listen more and talk less, track your accomplishments, and lastly, I mean 15th is show appreciation. And again, for the last five, find a mentor and get and stay organized, and keep your boss informed of everything. Meet and network with key people, and lastly, don't worry about being perfect because nobody is perfect. We are just doing our best here. Now we have the cover letter. A cover letter is a letter that job seekers send along with a resume. It is also called an application letter rather. For some people, they are wondering what is cover letter and what is application letter. Well, guys, it is in fact the same. Cover letter, in other words, is application letter. So now we move on to 5 things to remember about cover letters. First, your cover letter may be the first impression you make on the employer. Second, if possible, the cover letter should be addressed to a specific person and not sent to everyone. No? So then third, the cover letter should be short and to the point. And fourth, in your cover letter, tell the employer that what you can offer to their organization. And fifth, for the structure of the letter, follow a standard business letter. So when are job applications used by employers? For many part-time, entry-level, and blue-collar jobs, employers use applications to screen potential employees. And why do employers use job application? Many employers use applications as a way of standardizing the information they obtain from all job seekers, including some things that you would not normally put on your resume. Here are some ins and outs of completing job application. First, arrive prepared with the information you need. Second, read and follow instructions carefully. Third, complete the application as neatly as possible. And fourth, tailor your answers to the job you are asking. And fifth, don't leave any blanks. And sixth, don't provide any negative information. If you are asked about your weaknesses, you have to convert it into something that makes you strengthen rather. Seventh, you always answer questions truthfully. And eighth, do not put specific salary requirements. And ninth, provide references. 10th, keep your application consistent with your resume. And lastly, proofread your application before submitting. Here are 10 tips of time management. Make a to-do list and then prioritize your list. Dare to break the to-do list. Be flexible as things change. Don't wait until things become urgent. Focus on your goals. Identify where you waste time and figure out how you can spend that time more efficiently. Know when to quit. Don't waste time holding on to or worrying about things you can't change. Learn to be okay with the outcome if you delegate. Learn to say no and take time for you. Here is also a job self check. Be on time, follow company rules, do your job well, wear clothes appropriate for the job, cooperate and compromise with your coworkers, don't use drugs or alcohol, get along with your supervisor, be honest, keep professional and personal lives separate. If you aren't sure what to do or how to do it, ask your supervisor. For nonverbal communication, do eye contact, do assume a pleasant facial expression, do sit up and lean forward slightly, don't slouch, don't put your feet up, don't sigh loudly, and 7, don't check your phone for messages or texts. Here are some questions your interviewer may ask. Tell me about yourself. Why are you interested in joining our company? What courses did you particularly enjoy? What qualities do you have for this job? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why should I hire you? What is your greatest strength? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? And ninth, what questions do you have? Lastly, we have things to do during and after a job interview. During the job interview, you have to maintain positive eye contact. Second, always give a firm handshake. Speak clearly and audibly so that you can be understood and heard. Always present a pleasant attitude. Be friendly and smile. And fifth, clearly express your job goals and qualifications. And after the job interview, stand up, shake the interviewer's hand firmly, tell the interviewer you are interested in the job and company, and make sure you know what the next step is. Okay, so that's all for my report for all the topics of NVE 7. Thank you so much for watching and listening. See you guys on my next video. Bye!